are most of the people, Oxford's over here snoring like crazy though. And I'm waiting for him to have like some doggy dreams.
we must be soothing.
Yeah. You need some coffee. Spill the beans on you, buddy. You're all right. You're okay. Hey, welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. We're up actually at my mountain lodge in North Carolina, and I got a couple of the investors and Mastermind members and a couple of just good friends that came up, about a half dozen of us. And I recruited these guys for free labor, but I treat them in kind of beer and dinner and all that kind of stuff. And we worked during the day. And then in the evenings, we just had some remarkable conversations. So you're going to get a chance to meet my good buddy, Justin Cook. He was introduced to me about a year ago by my friend Matt Larson. And he's in the insurance business. He has a couple insurance businesses, has grown that up to be very successful. One of the best performing businesses in his overall brand in the overall company that he works with, and is just a great guy from a mindset standpoint. You can see he's worked very, very hard on a lot of the mindset, and that has then translated into the successes that he's had in business. And you'll get to see, Justin, he's a difference maker, right? Like, he cares way more. He's so passionate about helping others, both people on his team and his clients, and then other entrepreneurs, and just trying to pay it forward and help other people on their journey. So I'm excited for this episode. He's going to offer some insights as insurance and some things you got to be paying attention to on more the technical side of insurance. And we're going to talk a lot about, or I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about how he builds a team and how he leads them and paints that vision, because that's been a consistent conversation that we've had over the past couple days. So tune in, meet my buddy Justin. Justin, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah, good to see you, man. So we're up here at the Mountain Lodge, hanging out, talking shop, and obviously you're a partner in the deal. And what'd you think about the house?
Man, it's amazing. It's amazing. Great views. I mean, we're sitting here looking at the Smoky Mountains, right? And
smoke rising off of them right now?
Yeah, no kidding. It's house has so much to offer, and you don't even have to leave. Right?
I know.
Everything's right here. So no, I'm excited to bring the family.
Yeah, and if you do want to leave, like, guess what? It's a cool little town, right? There's a lot of historic stuff, good restaurants down there, some breweries, the river and the river walk and stuff. So it's a cool setup, man. It's just, and the architecture is incredible and everything else. So
yeah, Franklin's a nice little city. I mean, a lot of breweries and different things to go and see, whitewater rafting close. So yeah, we're excited. So all right, we've been hanging out with a couple of guys. Essentially, we all come up here. We're putting the finishing touches on it before it goes live on the short-term rental stuff. And there are a few of us. There are 6, 7 of us up here, all business guys and partners in the deal somehow. And we had some pretty cool conversations, right? I know we worked during the day. I know we kind of hung out, in the evenings and at dinner and had some drinks and stayed up late and smoked some cigars around the bonfire and just kind of saw where the conversation went. Any big takeaways that you got, or some pops that really made you think? For sure, I think the biggest thing is just your mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's that cliche saying, you become who you hang around, and I think you become who you're around. But the conversations, you just think big, right? Think very, very large, and don't really put limits on things.
What's the difference between the conversations that we had here and we have whenever we're with business friends versus the conversations with people who are not business people? Like when you're back in Iowa or Illinois and talking to people, like it's hard to have those conversations, right? It's hard to talk to somebody about running a big business and the dollars and the cents and the overhead and the liabilities that come with it and everything else. Sometimes they just don't get it, right? It's not good or bad. It's a different angle. And I think for me, it's always refreshing to come and hang out with guys like you and just talking dollars and decimals and not worry about offending anybody, because all we're doing is quantifying the situation, and we're not trying to brag or and what's cool is by last night, everybody's just having open dialogue. Here's what's good in my business. Here's what's bad in my business. Here's what's good in my relationships. Here's what's bad in my relationships. Here's what's good with my health. Here's what's bad with my health. And we're just kind of going around just having open conversations, and it's amazing how collectively as a group we just kind of hey, dude, have you tried doing this? Have you tried doing that? Well, guess what? You're not alone on that island because I'm going through the same thing, or been there, and here's what I did that worked, and here's what I did that didn't work. And, it's just, I think it's really eye-opening to have those talks.
I think it's a, abundance mindset. I mean, you're thinking how to grow, and the conversations are different because instead of you're thinking, well, a scarcity mindset of, maybe somebody's gonna be jealous or somebody's, doesn't have this going on. We're really in a circle trying to help each other.
Yep.
And I think that's the difference is there's, 2 days of positivity, right? 2 days of ideas, 2 days of sharing, 2 days of, one of the biggest things I think I said last night is awareness and vulnerability, right? You sit in that circle and there's, you guys have done a lot of things, a lot of things have been accomplished, but we're still sitting there, what's next? How do we get better? We're just getting started, mindset, right? So I think that just, that whole mindset of connection, networking, pushing ourselves to new levels is, the conversations are, because we're, instead of focusing on maybe negative or the challenges, we all have challenges, right? So it's great.
Yes, it's more solution oriented, right? Like, people have problems and they bitch and complain and just condemn and criticize and moan about it, and it's like, I don't know, I guess with us, we're like, we all have problems. How do we fix it, right? Like, we're solution oriented, we're results oriented. Like, how do we push through? Like, this is temporary, it shall not last, and how do we make sure that we fix it? And so I guess we're just, it's just more solution oriented hanging out with these guys. And what's cool is, like, I didn't intend this to be like a mastermind by any means, right? It was just, you're a partner in the house, a couple other people are partners in the house, somebody's in my mastermind who lives up a couple hours away, wanted to come and check it out and hang out, and then I had another buddy that came up from Charleston, just come take a look. And the idea was really come in here and hammer out all the stuff on the house that the contractors can do the big stuff, but like, there's certain things that need an owner's touch, that need an owner's attention, and things that you want to just make sure the furniture's in the right layout, it looks symmetrical, and things, a little bit more attention to detail, I would say. And then and so we all worked for a few hours each day, went on a hike, and then when we went out to dinner, it just kind of turned into the mastermind type conversations and all that.
Sure, I think you get the right minds together just naturally goes there. And one thing I took away just from, like you said, it wasn't a mastermind, but it was the opportunity to hang around some folks that are progressing, right? And think big. And so what I found last night is just everybody sharing a little bit about their history. Is everyone around the table has had challenges. Big time. Every single person has had some type of fork in the road where they can choose to go right or left, right? And usually they chose the harder route, and the harder route usually has paid off, right?
It's harder, but it also has greater rewards,
Sure.
So why do you think, like, I mean, we're in our 30, are you 40 yet?
39.
39, right. So why do you think that it's taken, I don't know, why doesn't the normal society and the normal education system, like, why don't they educate us earlier on and program us like that versus us having to reprogram ourselves in our 20s and our 30s to really understand business and some of those things? Like, it's a little bit aggravating, right?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, if we could go teach, folks in college or even high school level, the leadership, the entrepreneurship, not everybody wins at the game, right? I mean, you have to, they don't teach you a lot of those different things. And I hire a lot of college graduates right out of school, and there's a huge shift, mindset shift when they come to work with us, right? Because quite honestly, I mean, a lot of them are college athletes, so they have some base, they have some competitiveness, drive, and that type of thing. But there's still a huge shift, a mindset of, okay, from college to real world, and then to start developing habits to increase their mindset. Some get it, some don't, right? But the ones that get, that's a reprogramming you're speaking of, is it doesn't, that should be somewhere, right? in the college program. Or
you do a great job of it, and I'm glad you even brought them up, because that's one of the things that I really got a good takeaway from you is like you really push personal development, mindset development, like changing of philosophies, thinking bigger to your team.
Sure.
And making sure that they do have those resources and they do have that at least exposure to those kinds of mindsets. And so tell me about, like, you get with your team every morning, and don't you guys like work out and
Sure.
And
so I'm a huge believer of every day starts in the morning, and you're and getting your mornings right. So I'm also a huge believer in habits, and one of the habits that we do every morning is that with my team, with the aspirant team and the folks that want to be have their own business in the future, is I've led them to get up in the morning with me, work out, let's sweat, let's get our minds right. But then we also literally show videos of your Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, John Gordon, etc., David Goggins, and we share those every morning. So we all have material. Now we have a choice to engage in the material and really buy in, right?
You know what I like about it is it's not you shoving things down their throat. It's, hey guys, here's a video. Everybody contributes their own video, right?
Sure.
So everybody comes in with a 2-minute to 20-minute video that you guys will watch while you're exercising. Even you guys don't exercise together. But
no, it's
remote.
all
it's all remote.
Phones,
Everybody's
right?
doing their own thing, but they got it and they're watching. You guys are all watching videos while you're working out in the morning, and everybody contributes. So that means not only are they consuming it, but they're actually going out looking for other content and probably watching 3 to 5 times as much as what they're actually sharing, because they're going through that. So that means that they're getting more exposure outside of just this, and then they're actually critically thinking through it of what's the highest value and what do I want to share with the team, kind of a thing. So it's I think it's powerful, man. I think it's because then everybody contributes. Everybody's like, man, that was awesome, and it's not just the stuff that maybe you like Goalcast on YouTube or like some certain personal development, but it's like there's different speakers and different presenters that connect in different ways to different age groups, demographics, ethnicities, races, genders, whatever, backgrounds, history, part of the country you're from or not from, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's cool to get exposure to all that different stuff because they're connected in a different way.
Well, I think it empowers them. It takes its ownership, right? And when that's something I had to go through and learn as a business owner over time. I always wanted to score the touchdowns. I wanted to produce. I wanted to be the person, winning all the time. And what you find out when we develop the more offices and that type of thing is, it's in leadership is really where it's at, in influencing and leading folks. So, it's a very powerful thing that we've implemented, and it's not easy for them to get that habit right off the bat. We really have to push them because we do it every single day of the week. And so, just like you said, to find one video to share, to find a quote to share, and we do that sometimes throughout the day. We have different check-ins with our team, and so we have a 1 o'clock check-in and a 3 o'clock check-in, and we're all human, right? So we all get tired, and our mindsets may shift, or whatever happens to us during that day, we got to get back on track. So we have a lot of structure within the business. Right, and just to help people keep accountable and keep on track.
I love that. What would you say to somebody who's like, well, Justin, you're training and you're educating and turning them into leaders. What if they just leave you? What if they go and start their own insurance brokerage? You're just teaching somebody that could become your competitor.
It's a great question. I get that question all the time, and my thing is it's bigger for me. It's a legacy, to be honest. It's a changing lives in a positive manner, and I say that because I really mean it. If I can take somebody into the business, and we recruit all the time all over the country to bring talented people in, but I pour into them looking for that. How well can they learn the business? How high can they climb? What level can they get to? And the challenging piece is the replacement piece when they go into agency. And but if we do a good job of recruiting, we do a good job of sharing our story, we do a good job of here's the opportunity that you can do. My thing I say to them is, here's the deal. We have a great culture. We have a great office, well recognized in the country. If I look at it as a master's degree for our team, right? If you put in the next couple, 3, 4, 5 years, then you can literally pick anywhere. You can be sitting right here looking at the mountains, because we have enough connections. We have our network's large enough that we can place you there. We have a program that allows them to have that choice. And for me, yes, I like the energy. I like the coaching piece of it, right? So I wanted to be, one of the things, I wanted to be a college baseball coach. Didn't take that route, took the insurance route. But I operate and lead in the same manner. So, I always say Nick Saban, right? He's one of my favorite coaches to follow. Is he leading? He never scores any touchdowns. He's just leading his players. So, folks that are all of mine are college athletes. They naturally have a foundation, and they bring that foundation, but they bring energy. That enthusiasm. I like the youthfulness, right? There's challenges there, but there's also youthfulness, energy. They help, honestly, grow the business, grow our business. I help them, right? So at the end of the day, the company gets a very educated, qualified, they think right candidate. I get the business growth, hopefully, throughout the process. And they win big, right? They're the biggest winner in the deal.
Are there ways to collaborate beyond that, beyond them starting their own office? Are there ways to collaborate in your organization where they can stay with you and continue to grow with you?
There's really they want that coaching, that leadership, that flexibility, that freedom that they're working so hard for.
Yeah.
And once they're going on their own, it's not going to be the same as within that company, because they're independent, I'm independent. But what's really neat, Tim, is I'm building a legacy, right? Because the folks that
it's all because Justin taught me, right?
We're coming together. My legacy, cool. My vision is, we're all sitting in Bermuda having a good time and talking to still how to get better. But 10 or 12 folks that have come through the program, and that's changing lives. So that's kind of like a long answer to why we would do what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's built your business up. You got an A player in your organization, even though it's for a limited amount of time. And like in my organization, I have multiple A players, right? Like Nick Burton, A player, Fatty Bomitri, A player, Matt Carlin, A player, among many other A players in my team. And they could all go out and do their own business, right? Like they're nationally recognized for acquisitions and syndication and raising capital and operations and all these different things in the commercial space. And there's people who have tried to go out and recruit them to work for their companies. And these guys are all very capable of going and starting their own businesses. But I think the key is the vision, right? Like the leadership and painting the vision of like, listen, you guys go out and do it on your own, and you can make a ton of money and be super successful. But guess what? You're going to have more liability, more headaches, more of that stuff. I just want them to know that. I'm not trying to scare them or deter them with that. But if you realize, like, if they stay with the team and you stay, and here's the vision where we're going, right? Like, and although you got a piece of the pie over here instead of the whole pie over there, this piece of the pie is worth a lot more than that whole pie over there, you know? And we can do a lot more together collaboratively than we ever could if we competed or if we jumped ship. But if they want to go and do that, I would give them full blessings to go and start their own company. Who knows? Maybe I can go and invest with them, and be a passive investor in their business, and opens up other opportunities for me. So I think people get so concerned about the competitive aspect of it, but the reality is, man, like there's way more that can be gained than that could ever be lost if you collaborate versus compete. And that's why I do the coaching and the education and the leadership and the consulting and stuff, because it's just there's a lot more opportunity that can come from it than competition could ever take away from it.
Well, I'm flexible with the program as well. Like if I have somebody that doesn't want to jump off, doesn't want to take that risk, doesn't want to don't want to move, doesn't want to, I'm open to that, right? Yep. How do we build within? Because I don't plan on stop growing. I plan on continue to progress, continue to grow. And I'm going to continue to recruit people. And if they have the vision and they have the right attitude, work ethic, etc., I'm more willing to grow within, right? It's just the programs designed of the recruiting, some of the players you're recruiting on your team, that's what you're setting that vision for them. So so you have to be careful, you have to be transparent, you have to be upfront, right, with the situation and say, hey, but they have to have a vision. I found that you gotta have a vision, whether you're on the team long term or whether you're going to something else, or it.
Got to.
Yeah.
All right. So what have you found in building your team? You have a pretty young team. Like, what's the difference between the people who get it, who have a fire in their belly, who want to go and light the world on fire, or make the same kind of impact that we want to make and take business to the next level, versus the ones who just don't? Yeah. What have you found any correlation amongst this group of people or this group of people, and who makes it and who doesn't, who gets it and who doesn't, who wants to win, who has the fire and the drive versus who doesn't? And are there any did they play team sports in high school and college, or did they play solo sports, or did they not play sports at all, or did they come from I don't know, a family of entrepreneurs versus a family of blue collar workers? Like, what was have you noticed any correlation between some of those that really make it, age or
absolutely
anything?
I've had ones that I've had 3 go into business, and there'll be more on the team that go into business. And I think, first of all, it's a, they got to see a vision. I as a leader, I have to paint that picture.
Yeah, it's our responsibility.
Yes, as a responsibility. And then I have to follow through with that responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. I have to prove and record, and I have that, and I'm building that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just the same way with your team and your recruiting of, private investors, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of responsibility and ownership here as the leader, but then they have to see the vision, right? And if I can get and there's a clear cut when they see the vision, right? Things shift, right? Commitment ultimately gets deeper, right? And the very best, the ones that I've been on about coach, is they have extreme work ethic, and I don't have to the best I don't have to babysit.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from some of the sports, but I think looking back, it does come from culture.
Their family,
growing up, family values, that type of thing. I look back at the ones that are successful, and the apple don't fall far from the tree sometimes, right? Not always, but it is an indicator, right? Mm-hmm. And so they work really hard, and they grind, right? And then they literally, once they throw any plan B, C, or D off the table, then they're in. Then they develop. Then they progress. Then you see them literally, their numbers. I mean, the numbers follow, right? They're putting in the time. I tell them right up front, this is not a 9-to-5 gig, right? This is a do what it takes gig. That's a huge transition from what's being taught out there. Is, hey, the flexibility. Yeah. Yes, that will come.
This isn't a lifestyle business. You mentioned, there's what's his name? A military guy, but he's got this saying where there's a dichotomy of you want freedom.
David Goggins.
It's not David Goggins though. It's
another guy.
The other guy. Yeah, Jocko.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a dichotomy of you want freedom, but it takes discipline. Freedom and discipline are opposite each other. It takes discipline to get freedom, right? Like everybody wants the freedom, but guess what? You need to be super disciplined and regimented and work really, really hard in order to get the freedom,
Sure.
And I think a lot of people, especially with social media, it paints this get rich quick, lifestyle business, work from anywhere. Yeah, but guess what? I shoveled shit for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years before I've had this lifestyle, right? Like,
amen, right?
I've definitely put in the hours, I put in the work, and you didn't see that because I wasn't really on social media back then.
Sure.
But I try to talk about it so people realize this is it compounds, which is amazing. And so they're seeing all the success very rapidly right now, but it wasn't always like this. It was a lot of work. We got well water on this property. You go down to that pump right now, you have to pump the well over and over and over. You got to pump and pump and pump, and you're putting in the work and not seeing any water come out. There's no results from that pump. And you're pumping, you're like, man, how long do I have to pump this friggin' well before the water starts coming out? But guess what? As soon as the water starts coming out, you don't need to keep on pumping. You just give it one little pump and it keeps flowing. one little pump and it keeps flowing, right? And then once enough pressure builds up, it's just, it's able to create the momentum and keep rolling without as much effort, and you get just as much results, right? And so it's kind of like that in business, and at least it was for me, where I worked, no results for 4 or 5 years, until finally a little bit of drop of success came out, right? And then I kept on working, kept on pumping, and then finally the water started flowing, and now I'm to the point where I just got to pump it once in a while, and it just keeps on flowing like crazy. And I think people don't understand that that's what business, that's what life, that's what success, that's what progress needs to look like. You gotta put in the effort to lay the foundation. It's like having a bank account. You can't make withdrawals from your bank account if you don't make deposits into it first. You have to make deposit after deposit after deposit until finally the interest starts accruing and starts then paying out dividends. But it takes a long time of putting money in before you can start taking money out. And it's the same thing with working your tail off, working your ass off in anything that you do.
Absolutely. I started in the business when I was 23, right? First 5-7 years, it was 7 to 7. I was at the office working. I was the producer. Yes, I had a team, but I was producing. And to step back before that, right? So I played baseball through college, and before that, I went to work for an agent and did the business for a couple years. But I interviewed 7 times to be with the company that I'm in. 7 times. And you think about the grind. I mean, I'm not saying that most would have quit within 7, but most would have quit the deal within 7.
For sure.
And it goes back to the vision that I knew I wanted this. And I was young, right? I was younger, so I didn't have the financials that a lot of players had at that time to get in the business. But that 7-time grind is, nobody knows about that, right? Until they see something like this, like 7 times, and then, that 7 to 7 mindset. And then like you said, the water starts trickling, and you got to keep that growth mindset. One of the other things that I see that has to be there, right? That is competitiveness. I mean, that's why they're athletes. That's why we recruit in that space. But that's a portion of it. You have to be competitive. I mean, if Tim and I go play basketball in the pool, I can hear it's going to be a bloodbath, right? And nobody's getting paid anything, right? We're just going to give it our all, and we're going to go after it. And I think if you have that, this is a great business for you, because and real estate as well, right? It works in both businesses. But if you have that as a great foundation for both of our businesses.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much you win or how much you're still putting in the effort. You're still pushing through any adversities. You're still, meaning the key is when the faucet starts pouring out water, you don't stop working, right?
Sure.
Like just because you see the success, that competitiveness keeps it going. Because as soon as you stop pumping it, it doesn't need a lot of pumps, but as soon as you stop pumping it and it stops, then guess what? You got to create the momentum again, man. You got to go and start pumping it again in order to get the water flowing again. And I think, to your point, if you have that competitive edge, you're just always pushing forward anyways. Yeah. That's just like in your DNA and in your mind, and it's just built into your just your drive and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, and you're just always pushing forward. So I think from a standpoint of the competitive side, for sure. Tell me a little bit, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the wealth building side. So we talked a lot about mindset. Let's pivot over into wealth building. I love insurance from a residual income standpoint, right? Of owning an insurance business. And you sell a policy once, you get paid on it over the next 12 months. Chances are they renew and you keep on getting paid on it. And so it's not, there's a level of passive income, but residual income and passive income are 2 different things. People think it's the same. Residual income's doing something once and getting paid on it over and over again. But sometimes you got to be a little bit active. You got to pay attention. You got to contact the client.
100%.
You got to reach out. Passive income is, let me write you a check and you just pay me dividends and I don't have to worry about it. I'm totally passive. And usually passive income has a residual component to it. But just because residual doesn't mean it's passive. So I love your business. I think it's one of the best ways to build wealth in entrepreneurship and with especially real estate, and I think they parallel very well. What do you guys offer? You guys do home, auto?
Home, auto. home, auto, personal lines. We do a ton of life insurance. So
life insurance, right.
Top life insurance agents.
When you say personal lines, what do you mean?
Home, auto, renters.
Okay. Got it.
Business, small business, like quite a bit of small business insurance.
Yep.
But our bread and butter, is auto, right? Auto and life. That's what we do the most of, and obviously that goes well with home insurance. So
if somebody comes and sits down with you as a new client, and let's say they've got a little bit of money saved up, they're making, or they have a steady job or a steady business that's kicking off a little bit of cash, and what are you looking at in order to kind of dive into their situation and make sure that they're doing the right things on the offense to build more wealth and doing the right things on the defense to preserve more wealth? Like what does that diagnostic look like?
Yeah, we're mostly the risk managers, right? That's if you come to us, we're going to sit down with you and look at your assets, look at your portfolio, look at your income, look at everything that you have to protect, and then they're going to look at what are things that can disrupt that, right? And just for example, young families and no life insurance, that's a bad decision, right? Unless you have a lot of assets that cover that somewhere else. The liability in today's world, that's probably one of the biggest things that we preach a lot, is just education on liability, whether it's home, rental dwellings, apartments, auto insurance. The auto insurance piece, the liability is your biggest risk. Our biggest risk of losing, in my opinion, all your assets is an auto accident.
Give me an example.
That's why you see, so if you pull out, you come out on this mountain here, you have a pretty sharp curve there, you just pull out, car comes around the corner, smack, right? Then what do you have covered, right, at that point? So let's just say let's talk about the worst end of that, right? It's a death or disability, right? In that situation, being your fault, you're liable. So how does that work at that point? How it works is you file a claim on your insurance, they look at your limits, the insurance company is going to pay out certain whatever limits you have, not just give them away, but you're going to, say you have, let's just use an example of $100,000 liability coverage, right? And that accident happens, but you're worth $5 million. That's a problem. It's a big problem, because now, let's just say they didn't pass away, but medical bills were $700,000, right? What that look like? I can tell exactly what it looks like. Is the insurance company, your insurance company is going to pay $100,000. It's going to go back to their insurance company. They're going to pay the underinsured. But do you think that insurance company that is not at fault going to want their money?
Right.
Especially if the person has assets. And not just assets, Tim, but income. Like people don't think about that, but a future asset is income. So what does that look like? Oh, that insurance company wants their money, and by the way, that family that they have health concerns for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Do they want paid? They want paid. So they're going to come. If you have assets, that's why you got to protect them. So big deal, auto insurance, big deal litigation. If you see, there's more litigation than ever, right? Just drive anywhere. Turn on the news, right? It's right in front of your face. So liability is a big thing. So big picture, we risk manage. So whether it's life insurance, and then the wealth building side is more of the investment side. How do we do that? And we don't have the quite uniqueness that you can offer. And that's, you're talking about streams of income, right? Or how do you do that? And I'm kind of at that stage, like where I love what I do, number one, in our business. I think it really changes lives. But I also like the opportunity of residual income that allows me to build a business, protect a lot of people, change people's lives that work for me, and also allows me to meet people like Tim and go, okay, let me learn a little bit about other opportunities. And without that connection, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yep. Yep. I see a lot of, I think it's got a little bit of a double-edged sword, because, like you're looking at so many different opportunities. Like I want to be exposed to everything, but you can't pursue everything. You know what I mean? And And sometimes people are just, they got their blinders on and they're a financial advisor or something, and all they think about is stocks. That's the only thing, because that's the only thing they get paid on. So that's the only thing they'll invest in either, because, but there's a lot of other opportunities out there. There's real estate, right? I know some good friends who've made a boatload of money in crypto. I know a bunch of friends who have, e-commerce stores that are kicking off some good cash flow, and actually you have one, I think, right? And making some money on some of these different things. And I think there's different opportunities, and to think, but there's also a lot of like scams and BS and garbage out there, and like nonsense of, hey, you don't have to do anything, you can get rich quick, and like all that. And that's not necessarily something you want to pursue. But
I think one of the things you're saying as well is do what you do well.
Yeah.
Well, I think some people, they focus on the, we got to improve the weaknesses side. Mm-hmm. But if you're really strong, let's just say I'm really strong in auto and home and life insurance, because that's what we're pretty strong in. We do that really well. Mm-hmm. And so we want to capitalize. We want to do that really, really well. We want to dive deeper. We want to scale that. Mm-hmm. Better the processes. Mm-hmm. Hire the more people so you can scale. So I think I see sometimes where, I like to learn other businesses. I like to hear, and but also you don't want to take away from what got you to be able to do the other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, how many pumps on the well it took you to get to where you are in your insurance business. Guess what? You go start any new business, you're going to have to start pumping the well again, right? Like, and it's going to take years, and it's going to take money, and it's going to take headache and struggle and failure before the successes start coming. And I think once you've been in business a little bit and you realize the grass is not always greener on the other side, one of the things I say is like, it's not greener, it's just different, right? And it takes a hell of a lot of watering in order to get it really the way that you want it to look. And so doubling down on your strengths, and I love what you said about just hiring out the weaknesses, right? Like, if you start spending time doing the things that you didn't want to do and you don't like doing, you're not good at doing it, it's going to become very draining. You're going to start having some disdain for that business.
Well, it's going to drive negativity. It's gonna, I'm not mechanical, right? And everybody knows me. I'm not mechanical. And if I went down there and tried to do the locks and change some locks to, this afternoon, I'd be extremely frustrated. Mm-hmm. And then my attitude would be probably negative.
Yeah, forget this house, I'm out of here.
And I just spent 3 or 4 hours to do that. So, the older that I get, time's important, right? And so, I like spending time on things that I like, number one, that I love, and where I can make a difference, where I can make an impact that I feel like I'm a strength, not, go changing locks where it'd be a nightmare and then the lock wouldn't work anyways.
Yep. No, I think you can do more by staying in your strength zone. I'm really good at raising capital, and I create content, the marketing side of things. That's where I love to be. That's where I get the highest fulfillment of business and work personally, and I'm good at it. So guess what? If I just stay in that lane, I have other people to do the stuff that I'm not good at, or I don't love doing. And if I stay in this lane, then I can generate more revenue to hire that person. Or it makes their job easier because I stay in my lane, and then we have more exposure to investors. We get more exposure to whatever. And it makes their jobs easier, and then they can stay in their lane and not have to worry about raising money, or not having to worry about doing the marketing or the things that they don't like doing, and that pull them away from their strengths and their zone. And it just 1 + 1 = 3. You can accomplish so much more that way.
Well, and you're also giving them an opportunity, right? I mean, you by thinking that way, if you try to do it all, number one, you couldn't scale to where you're at. But if you think that way, you gave them an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I've seen a few people on your team just the last couple of days, and because you think that way, they have an opportunity, and then they have an opportunity to grow because I know your mindset, right? You're not one that says, hey, here's all you do. No, let's figure out how to win together.
Here's your job forever.
No, this is a win-win
When I hire
deal.
somebody, I'm like, hey, I see, and maybe I'll convey it to them or not, but I always see, I don't hire somebody for this role. I hire somebody for 2 roles in advance, right? Like, where do I see them going over the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years? They might start here, but I see them growing, and I can see them coming up here. And as long as they're willing to put in the effort, as long as they're willing to put in the work, personally grow, personally develop, I can see them advancing in the business as long as they want to, right? And I think that's important, and that's us as visionaries of our business, seeing the long term. And it's like playing chess, right? I'm not worried about this move. I'm thinking of 3, 4, 5, 6
I'm
moves.
Always that's what I always say is I'm thinking not today only, but 6 months, year. What is that next? It's funny this being here the last couple of days. I think every person here has asked me, "What's your next step? What's your next move?" And I think they ask that because it's sharing, like, okay, what are you going to do next? And then I counter that, right? Like, what's your next step? And so I think we just learn and grow. And I didn't know anybody besides you when I showed up. So it's positioning, it's positioning yourself intentionally in the right circle, in the right crowd. And you have to be intentional about it, right?
Sure.
Because if you go in a room of people, it's 80-20 rule, right? I mean, it's maybe 90-10. But you go in a room of people, and the bigger crowd, a lot of times, the conversation is going to be a little different. Like, it's, quite honestly, it's going to probably be negative. There's negativity flowing. There's not like, hey, what's next talk, right? But there is this 10% or 5% or whatever over here talking about that next step. And I just encourage my team that it's not about being better than anybody. It's mindset, right? It's what are you feeding here? What are those conversations that are happening? And they are drastically different when you have a progressive mindset. Yeah,
for sure, man, for sure. No, that's really, really good stuff. I love, I love hanging out, sitting back, like just seeing where it happens even better when you're actually living and staying in the same house as everybody else, right? Because you're not going back to your own hotel room or anything. Like we spend so much time together when we're all in the same property and same home that just the level and the depth of the conversations goes so much further than just going out to a networking event or grabbing, the surface level. Who are you? What do you do? Like, what do you got going on? And, tell me about why you like that or don't like that, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, you really get into the good stuff when we're in this, in a place like this together, going on a hike together and then going to the pool together and going to dinner together and having lunch together.
It's all the small things, Tim. It's all the small things that add up the big things, right? Like, there's been so much good conversation where you just sit back and you kind of sponge, right? You got to be a sponge and then sit, have that interaction, but then to go back and digest it.
Yeah.
Right? Go back, think about it. What did I learn? What did I take? Like, what do you take away? And what actions are going to happen next? It's contagious in a good way. It can be good or bad, but obviously, the last couple days have been great.
I love it, man. So let's end with this. What does the future hold?
Yeah, I continue. I love what I do in the business. I love the life insurance business. I really believe that, for example, I think we've insured like 160, 170 lives this year. I really have a passion for that, right? That's literally making a difference. If I sit down and meet with Tim, and Tim has 2 kiddos, they're younger, and we have that conversation, and I can make that recommendation. And God forbid something happen, right? We insure for the consequences, not the probability. And the probability of you not making it home tonight is pretty low. Consequences of what that looks like can be pretty high. I just feel that extreme passion. I think a lot of times in our business, people don't view us as doctors, attorneys. We're insurance people, kind of like going to the dentist, right, or something. But we really, by that one conversation, can affect the life. So I want to stay in that lane where I'm going with that. I want to grow that business, the insurance business. But I also, I'm a little bit of e-commerce. I'm more and more in real estate. I have a few farms. So I want to grow that side of things that diversify. Being able to look at non-correlated assets. So like, you have farms, you have real estate, you have e-commerce, you have, permanent life insurance, do a lot of that. And a big different risk tables, right? So some of this over here is very conservative, right? Some over here is very risky. And I feel like I'm in both, right? If this risk doesn't work, then I'm pretty stable over here.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. So just growing that, and I think the future is also being very intentional on your circle, who's in your mind, continuing the habits. You know, I'm a huge believer of your daily habits. You show me your daily habits, Tim, on a normal basis, and I'll know why you're where you're at.
Yep.
Right. I mean, literally. I mean, and I think that goes. That's just how it works.
Yep.
Right? Are you organized? I live and die by a calendar. Right. So I'm a check mark guy.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, all check marks are marked. And if they're not, I'm gonna do it, delegate it, or delete it. And that's just a mindset. And I appreciate you, sitting down with me for sure.
Yeah, man. No, this is a great combo. I appreciate you, man. I know you're invested in some projects with us, including this house and several others. And it's just fun to kind of hang out. We've hung out a couple times, and this is the most like one-on-one time we've gotten together. And I know it's going to happen more. Get the kids together, get the wives together, and from a business standpoint, just keep on staying connected on stuff. So, you know what I love? I love the compound effect, right? Like I've known you for about a year now or so, and just like seeing that and you've already been working on the leadership and obviously all that stuff, and it's what got you to where you are. But it just now it's compounding in a big way. It's like the growth and the mindset and the wealth and everything just starts compounding, and it builds up so much momentum that you can't even stop it if you tried. It's like a freight train, and I'm just excited to see where the next 3 to 5 years, man,
Me too.
takes you personally, takes us as friends, and what we can accomplish together, man.
Sure, man. I'm excited for it. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Great insights. Just an amazing guy. And if you're not connected with him on social media, make sure you are. He's always trying to pay it forward. Whether he knows you or not, he's trying to better people's lives and share amazing content all the time. So connect with Justin. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. If you need any insurance needs, definitely reach out to him too. I don't even know if he insures around the country or just in Illinois, Iowa area, which is where he lives, or what that looks like. But just connect with him. He's a great guy. And at least from an entrepreneurship standpoint, it's somebody that you can learn a lot from. So another episode of Spill the Beans. If you loved it, please please share, please comment. And again, share it with anybody else that you think might get a lot of knowledge and get a lot of insights from this video, and just kind of spread the wealth, spread the knowledge, and spread the influence. So appreciate you. Until next time, see you on Spill the Beans.